Hey, my name is Joe,
And I'm Mary Beth.
and this is the Best of Gen X.
We are in our 40s.
And we're siblings,
We'll talk about adulting in a world so different from the one we grew up in,
so excuse us while we save a generation.
one episode at a time.
Let's go.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Mary Beth.
How are you?
What is going on?
So much.
I know.
So much. We have so much to talk about.
We do.
If we can get through this without laughing before we introduce our guest.
I wonder why we've been laughing.
I do have a couple of announcements because there are some things from our last episode that I want to add.
Okay.
We had a great conversation with Amanda about
The
all her travel adventures, and she gave us some great pointers, told some nice stories about where she's been. But there were so many things to talk about that we forgot to bring up. Like she messaged me on Facebook afterward and was like, "Oh, I forgot to talk about the TSA pre-check and cruises and stuff like that." As she was leaving, though, she told us about an app that we wanted you all to know about. It's called Capital, but it's spelled with a Q instead of a C. And it's an easy way to link to your bank account and set up some investment or savings goals. And you make the rules. You can round up with every purchase on your debit card, credit card, whether you want to round up to the nearest dollar, even $5, whatever. And so you're basically, every time you're spending money on anything, gas, groceries, you're saving money without thinking about it. And so she wanted to make sure that we knew about that. Also, I mentioned last episode, my friend Amy reached out. We gave her a shout out, told her thank you for listening. After the episode aired, she sent me a Facebook message and said that she had actually lived in Germany from the ages of 6 to 10. And she said the food was amazing. And she also did verify that sex is German for six, although she did say that the S sound is more of a Z, like a soft Z sound, so it's Zex-ish. I'm probably not saying it correctly, but so we were kind of right.
Nice. Suspicions confirmed.
I know. And then I heard from my friend Teresa. She reached out and said she's actually going in August to Europe on a cruise around England, Ireland, and Scotland. And so I just was so excited to hear that. I'm so happy for her and told her we may need to have you on to hear about that.
Yeah, I didn't even know they did those kind of cruises.
Yeah. So
it always just seems like it's a tropical.
Right. Well, you are mistaken, my friend. You're mistaken. So, yeah.
Yeah. So it's really cool though also that Amy, she has reached out to us before, but she's already listened to the other one with Amanda, so it's really cool that, she's all in, she's committed.
Yes, she's committed.
And sharing what she has to offer. So yeah, appreciate her doing that. So I'm really excited about today because we have been on this build up for the better part of 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, longer than that.
Has it been?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we were pretty early. We were pretty proactive. So everybody that listens to us has heard ad nauseum that we are geeked out, or we were geeked out, because we had heard that the Indianapolis Comic Convention was going to have one of our favorite actors and characters of all time, Rainn Wilson. So we decided to invite a special guest for our trip, correct?
Yes.
And that special guest is our sister, Jennifer.
Yay.
Hey.
And
Clink,
the crowd
clink.
goes wild.
Cheers.
Clink, clink, cheers.
Clink, clink, clink.
Oh, here, hang on.
Clink.
Here.
Can you clink?
Clink.
So, we originally, were going to go with just you and I. And then I had this idea one day where I said, you know what? It's probably worth checking to see if Jen can go, because how fun would that be? And how rare is it that us three get to spend time that way together?
Just the three of us.
Yeah, just outside of like a family trip or not even a family trip, but like Christmases and holidays. And
But it's never just the three of us.
yeah. So I reached out and she said, yeah, I have this particular weekend off. And I said, do it. Let's get a day pass for you and let's make it happen. And she jumped on it. And, I was so excited because, like I said, in my adult life, I probably can only remember us all three being just alone together maybe 3 times.
And we weren't fighting.
And we weren't fighting. We weren't complaining about you touching my arm.
Yeah. Because we didn't really like each other until adulthood, and then we were too busy to hang out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my freshman year in high school, Mary Beth was a junior, and she's walking down the hallway with her friends, and I turned around and I go, hey, Mary Beth, hey, sis. And she looked at me, she goes, ugh, and rolled her eyes and kept walking.
Didn't happen.
And I was like, oh, yay.
Couldn't
Seriously?
He says that. I no.
In my head, I was
I
going.
wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I just did a memory check. False.
In my head, all I could hear was, can you feel the love?
He's lying. All right. So after that big whopper of a lie, let's get into this because we have so much to talk about.
We do have a lot, but I just want to tee it up.
This was the day of all days. Bigger and better than we could have ever imagined.
Bruh, it was uber epic.
What is it? The best day of the year.
The best day of the year.
It was amazingly epic, and it was everything I knew it was going to be, and more.
Well, and
it started from the tip as soon as she got to the house.
Yeah,
Oh.
it started as soon as we got.
Before that. So let's start with the night before.
Oh, yeah.
You guys were kind enough to come to Mallory's cheer showcase because
Yes.
Mallory had a cheer competition this past weekend. And so they did a showcase for family and friends, and you guys came. Afterward, we're outside in the parking lot. I brought my fits to show my brother so he could decide which combo of jeans and t-shirt. I had 3 Dwight t-shirts, and Jen was going to borrow one of them. She was going to borrow the one that said assistant to the regional manager. I give it to her. We're standing outside my truck.
And you and I are both going, yay!
Yeah, so I'm standing by my truck. I'm ready. I'm ready to judge.
Now,
Keep in mind, the letters are big on this.
Yeah, I'm ready to.
The letters are very big on this shirt, and keep in mind, I'd already worn it.
Yeah,
Public?
it was like the font was like 30 Helvetica. It was humongous,
But it took Joe 0.03 seconds to notice something.
if that.
He goes, wait, hold on. He goes, it's misspelled. And Mary Beth goes,
What?
what? And then he said, it's missing a T. It says assistant.
To the regional manager.
So if you read it, it looks like ass is ant. And I was like, wait a minute.
And he was like, where did you get this?
Yeah. And then I threw in a Big Bang reference. I go, nice signature.
And I was like, Amazon for like $10.
I was like, and I go, you should have paid 4. Missing a letter.
So that should have clued us in right away that this was going to be
Yeah.
quite.
I mean, that was
an
like 12
adventure.
hours before we even left.
So it's like, great, now what am I going to wear?
So she ended up wearing my Dwight t-shirt where it's just kind of like an outline of his forehead
Yeah, his
and
head and his
glasses.
glasses, yeah.
And then the word false.
Yeah.
And I wore my Schrute Farm shirt, and Joe wore his really cool 80s-ish.
It was a Dwight collage shirt
Yeah, it was
that
a
had a bunch
collage.
of his different character emotions and stuff in the
So
show.
already things are a little shaky. We're on shaky ground here. Plans have already changed.
A little shaky, but I'll tell you what. I went home after that cheerleading thing, and I literally was so. It was like the night before Christmas. I was so
Yes.
excited. Like I had trouble going to sleep.
I did not sleep. In fact, I slept for maybe 2 hours, and I got up at midnight, couldn't go back to sleep, and I stayed up. That tees up how tired I was at the end of this adventure.
Yes.
So the day began with quite a kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle. That word's not used often
We
enough.
had
Kerfuffle.
storms and possible tornado and early in the morning. So
It was
we were
all
like,
coming
oh boy.
at the time that we were at departure time.
Yes.
So Jen was going to swing by and get me, and then we were going to drive to Joe's house. Now on the way there, I had to show Jen a back way to Joe's house through the country, and it was just pitch black. early in the morning. The storm was a brewing, but it wasn't raining yet.
I know where
Really,
you're going with
really heavy lightning.
I don't know that I've heard this
It
one
lit
yet.
up the
Yeah, you
sky.
did. I was being serious, by the way.
And so she's driving on these windy, dark roads, and she goes, "Hey, next time it lightnings, look for a funnel cloud."
I was being serious. Every time it would lightning, you would see like everything light up for a few seconds, and I'm looking for a funnel.
And the clouds were very low.
Did she
Yes.
do that thing like she did when she was a kid where she held her hands like this? She goes, "There's Mom. Where's she going?"
Oh, come on now.
She had that nervous thing on her
Yeah.
hands.
So I thought that was fun. This is all before we even pull out of the driveway. So we get to Joe's, and I'm like, I have to smoke. So I'm on the back patio, and suddenly the sky exploded. The winds picked up. Now, let me tell you, I don't do the hair and makeup thing very often because I'm at home most of the time. My hair was perfectly coiffed. My makeup was on point. And suddenly this great gust of wet wind
Yes.
sent my hair aloft
Aloft. Well, you know how you could have prevented that.
by not smoking. Shut
Not
up.
smoking.
So I didn't even get through half my cigarette, and I raced inside, and I'm
I
like,
bet that
guys,
was the most enjoyable smoking experience you've ever had.
I'm like, guys, it's getting bad out there. I said, Joe, do you have an umbrella? Because it was starting to rain very heavily, but it was sideways rain. Just to get from Joe's garage to his truck, which was only a few feet away into the driveway,
10 feet at most.
we knew we were going to get drenched.
Yeah, it was like the rain was coming into my, like halfway into my garage.
Yes.
Horrible.
So we're in the garage, and I said, he's inside the house doing whatever, and I said, he's a golfer. He lives on a golf course. My son is a golfer in college. I said, all golfers have a big umbrella in their golf ball. Look, there's like a million,
Except our brother.
a million golf bags against the wall, and all we found were baseball bats and clubs. We said, do you have an umbrella? He said, no.
Okay. I
did not have an
said,
umbrella.
go get us a towel.
And she meant for each of us.
I meant one for each of us. But he comes back with a standard bath towel, like not even a beach towel.
She goes, oh, we have to share that?
You have to be very specific and literal with me. You said, go get us a towel. So I went and got a towel.
So Joe stays in the garage and watches us run 10 feet.
We're like Siamese twins sharing a towel.
sharing
over
a
our
bath
heads.
towel over our heads so we don't get our hair wet.
Quite entertaining. And you guys were like giggling on your way to the truck.
Thing
So
is,
basically, we put it over our heads and then took a run for it and just screamed the whole time.
The whole 3 paces it took
I'm
you to get to
starting
the truck.
relive this moment.
Okay, so Joe doesn't have a normal truck. Oh no. You can't, because I was going to sit in the back. You can't open the back seat door. You
'Cause
have
there's
to
a 2-door.
You have to open. It's actually a 4-door.
Well, but you have to
open
right.
the
It swings the
passenger's-
other way. You have to
Yeah,
open
you
the
have to
passenger
open the
one
passenger
first.
door first to open. Jen did not know this. And through the hurricane.
And just to note, it's pointless to have a towel. The wind was blowing it off of our heads.
Yeah.
We were getting drenched, screaming.
It's as if the rain were coming from down south because our bodies were drenched.
Yeah.
And so Jen doesn't know the trick about the door. And so we're trying to get in. And I said, Jen, you have to get in first.
It's like they were fighting against each other when I was watching you. I was like, they're working against each other.
I'm sitting there. She's screaming. She goes, you have to get in first. I said, what? She pushes me.
No,
Every man for himself.
that's the thing. That's what was going through my mind. It's as, it wasn't like I was pushing her off the Titanic. I was thinking every man for himself.
Yeah.
I'll get wet so she doesn't have to. So I push her
Yeah,
in the
there
towel.
was one spot left in the lifeboat. Mary Beth was like, well, good to know you.
No, I was sacrificing my own hair.
Well, so the door, she pushes me. I almost fall. And she opens the door. And as she's opening the door, trying to figure out. to
I'm
get in the back,
screaming.
she's going, ah, ah, ah.
Yeah, because the screaming is going to make you drier.
I climb into the back seat of this truck. I'm on all fours in the back seat going, ah! So now the best part of this part of our story
I get in the front and I'm trying to close
is
the
what
door.
Joe is doing. Joe,
Well, okay. So
I'm trying to close the door.
you
but
have to close the back one first
And I'm trying
to
to
close the main one. And Jennifer's closing the main door first. And it just keeps going dunk, don't. It's not shutting all the way.
And since I'm in the back on all fours, I can't close my door.
So I'm standing there, like just eating the popcorn, just watching.
He is laughing so
Hold on.
hysterical at us.
Let me move the microphone away from my face so I can do it. You ready?
This was the laugh. That's what he did the entire time we were screaming.
So that's what I did the entire time.
We could hear him laughing at us through the storm.
So that was the Adventures in Babysitting. Adventures in Babysitting.
That's how loud he was
Daryl
laughing
laughed.
at us.
Yes, it was that Daryl Cooper Smith laugh.
Hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
And so he finally joins us in the truck. And
Dry
when
as a bone, by the
Dry
way.
as a bone somehow. And then when he opens his door to get in,
Hail comes into my
comes
truck.
into
Like
the front.
little pea-sized, marble-sized, just ping, 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 ping.
Yeah, it's like somebody was throwing a bucket of ice at me.
This was quite
Guys, we haven't left the driveway.
We haven't left my driveway yet.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
is adventuresome a word? It was already adventuresome.
So the way we head toward Indy.
Oh, before we get there,
Oh.
we have to stop to the gas station at the gas station. And we get to the gas
I
station.
needed a lighter.
Yeah, we get to the gas station. And
I tried to find a comb.
I have to put gas in my truck, and my dumbass goes, let me see, where's the closest pump so I could just get us right out.
And I said, well, you could pull us up to the door.
Pull us up to the door. I go, oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I was like, because it was pouring at this point, and
Yeah.
so I didn't want to get more wet. I mean, we had heavy like cardigans on. Our cardigans were wet. Our t-shirts were wet. Our jeans were wet. Our hair was wet. And I was gonna get a lighter, and Jen was like, "I'll get a comb." She gets back in the truck and has one of those school day, picture day combs.
That's the only comb they had.
Yeah, like one brush or one little swoop is going to break it.
Yeah.
So I just decided I'm going to scrunch my hair all the way to Indy, and hopefully it will turn out okay.
And everybody's like, let me smoke again before we leave.
I was a nervous wreck. I was going to meet
her cigarette was like soaked.
Oh, come
You
on.
had like the soaked cigarette, the wet cigarette.
No, seriously, with that comb, I felt like Vern on Stand By Me. Look, I have a comb in case we want to look good. It was like the little school time comb.
Okay, why is this so important? Why was it so traumatic for us that morning? Because we'd spent a lot of money to have pictures taken with a famous person whom we love.
The one time in our adult life we're all together and we pay for a photo op.
Right.
Yeah.
And we get drenched.
Yeah. It's like Twister weather.
So that was,
Okay, so that was before we even got on the exit ramp.
That's, yes.
but we do finally arrive in Indy.
Was there anything funny or fun on the way there or no?
Probably.
Okay, well.
But
So make sure we didn't leave any stone unturned.
I mean,
So-
we just laughed. We called our parents and
We
had
called our
them on the
parents,
phone.
that's right,
And
yeah.
we laughed about stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
our children all checked on
They
us.
did, because listen, there was like almost tornadic type weather, and I think one did touch down near Oakland City University or whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention to the news that day.
Our sweet children's did.
So yes,
Check in on
each
us.
of us had a child that reached out and said, "Are you okay?" Because it was really, really scary. We were, and they were too. Thank the Lord. But it was an adventure just getting to downtown.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to get a little sentimental. I think that says something about how we raised our kids.
It does. You know what?
We didn't
each had
fail all the way.
each had a
We didn't
child
fail
that
all the way.
unprompted
Yeah.
reached out.
It was very sweet
That
of
was
them.
sweet. Okay, so we get to Indy. Sorry.
We get to Indy. We're in the parking garage. We get out. What's the first thing we see, kids?
A gentleman in a lime green car that was wearing a full Ghostbuster outfit with
Full Ghostbuster
with a proton
backpack
pack.
and everything. And I mean, he at one point we thought he dropped something. He tried to bend down and pick it up, and he almost couldn't bend down to pick
Yeah.
it
Now,
up.
we would have run to help him. I wanted to conserve my energy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were concerned about him. What's our brother doing? He's taking a picture to send to his friends.
I was like, I got to snap this.
We did have an assignment from our mother for this whole day. Send me lots of pictures.
Yes.
Well, we don't take a lot of pictures, and I'm certainly not a selfie person, so this was like
I'm not
homework to me.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we did, because we have great memories.
Yeah. Dude, you remember the old Double Dare show where they slime? Where you got slime?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's what that dude's car looked like. It's like it was like that color.
It was right on. That's exactly what it was.
Well, we make it in time. We get into the huge
Convention center.
convention center. We find our way to just outside Exhibit Hall, and it's time to stand in line
for like over an hour.
Well,
we were there early.
Well, we walk in the room to get our wristbands.
Yes.
And you're welcome. You guys wanted to go late. There ended up being like thousands of people there. And by the time we got there, they had just opened registration and there was like nobody there in line. So we walked
Yeah, we
right
walked
up,
right up to the
walked
table.
straight up to the table and
They
got our
had all
wristbands.
these
So you're welcome.
lanes, and we went straight up.
We went straight up there, and this was about 9:30. So we had quite a bit of time to spend in the large line to get inside, which was not bad because it was basically just waiting for them to open the door so that everybody could file in. There was not a long, drawn out process. You just showed your wristband, and so everybody was just like streaming in multiple doors. But the line, while we're standing in line, first of all, the Ghostbuster guy was just the tip of the iceberg in
that was
terms
just
of
the beginning.
costumes.
Yeah, that was normal.
Because remember, this was our first Comic-Con. We knew that cosplay
Was a thing.
was a thing, and I had read somewhere online there was going to be a costume contest, so people did not disappoint. Bless you. Should I cut that out? No, that's time.
At least once an episode. I wanted to wait for you to finish.
Okay, so I'm going to keep the sneeze in. That's our first sneeze, everyone. I've edited all of them out. You have no idea how much we sneeze.
I feel better.
Okay, so we're standing in line, and we've got all this time, and I want to mention that I brought up with Joe our next episode. I was like, do you have any ideas? Is there anything in particular you want to talk about? We really need to come up with something. And I had mentioned something that I wanted to touch on, and I was like, I have all these thoughts throughout the week that I really need to start writing down because our show started out in year one, very nostalgic, talking about shows, movies, music, all that stuff. And we have talked to our listeners about wanting to sort of transition into more of just like a what's going on in our lives, more current event type thing. And I said, I have all these things that happen, and I think to myself, I really would like to talk about this on the show, but they don't kind of connect. And so I just brought that up to him, and this will be relevant, as we move on in the day. But I did bring it up at that moment, But let's talk for a second about the kind of, like Jen was having a hard time. You were having a hard time in the line. Because the person in front of her was allergic to soap.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, they made us stand like shoulder to shoulder almost in there. They wanted to cram everybody in, get closer to the wall, get closer. And I'm like, oh Lord. Well, the people in front of me were young adults and were into the cosplay and wearing costumes.
Can we paint a better picture?
Okay, well the dude's hair stunk.
Looked like a wet mop.
It was so greasy that it's like he hadn't washed it in a month.
And he had his little pale, or she was kind of bigger, but he had the pale girlfriend, and they both had like dyed black hair.
Yeah,
and she had like the hoodie jacket on, and she was like insecurely like right up next to him, like the little high school couples do.
Yeah.
Like join me in the pit of the underworld, like that.
I'm
type.
sorry. Did you guys think we weren't going to judge?
Oh, no,
totally going to judge.
But, this is a different generation than us. But then there was a girl also kind of sort of in front of me to the side, dressed as some sort of princess, and she kept swaying, like just on her phone, swaying back and forth. And she was bumping into me a little bit. And so I just finally turned around and I got closer to Mary Beth and I said, Princess Buttercup won't stop moving over here. So we had a couple people in front of us that just would not stop talking. He spoke.
Mr. Know-It-All.
Mr. Know-It-All. I mean, it was just people watching. Then we saw characters walking by us, and it was really funny. And I mean, we had, it was like
you'd see different versions of like Batman. You'd see people with like computer screens on their head.
Doctor Who. We saw
Doctor Who.
You'd see Harry Potter stuff.
Yes.
You'd see like little woodland fairies.
Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yes.
It was like we were at like a tennis match. Like we couldn't stop.
Yes, our heads
swaying
were going
our heads.
back and
we were
forth,
like left, right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why the hour in line didn't seem so bad because there was
It
so
was
much
entertaining,
so much
actually.
going on.
Overstimulated.
So much to laugh at.
Yeah, good people watching.
So we finally get in. The doors are open. We walk into exhibit hall.
Yeah.
And we just see rows and rows, as far as the eye could see, of booths.
Just vendors.
Yeah.
Vendors.
Yeah.
Artwork and trinkets and
Yeah, it was kind of like the Black Friday thing. They just opened the doors and like whatever you just went.
Everybody
just like
walks
filled in.
Yeah.
It was cool.
So we spent, would you say, like the first 2 hours?
About almost 2.
Hour and a half?
Probably at least an hour and a half.
Yeah,
probably.
hour
Now-
and a half at least.
Yeah,
Our photo op with Rainn Wilson was at 3 o'clock.
and we got in by 10:30. So that gives you an idea of timing.
Right. So we know, I mean, we first want to walk around and just take it all in. We're going row by row very slowly, and we see some really interesting things. And we know at some point we're going to have to figure out where the celebrities are. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to figure out, because we knew the Twilight people were going to be there, and it was very important to find out if we could swing both photo ops, because the Twilight group photo was at 2:30. And we had planned on just feeling things out.
Right. We knew we had time.
So that was like forefront in our minds of finding out.
But also to set the stage, we just kind of assumed that it was the photo op piece was going to be like in a different section or like a different room, like a different
Yeah,
ballroom.
we thought we would have to leave.
So we
exhibit
thought this was
hall.
just the vendor hall.
Yeah.
And then we would have separately have to go to another.
We read about Celebrity Row.
Right. So I just want to lay that out so everybody
Yeah.
knows what we were.
So we were thinking we got to find out at some point where the celebrities are. And so let's talk about walking around. I personally wanted to give a shout out because we were there for, I don't know, close to an hour before we saw somebody we knew who had a booth. And I want to give him a shout out. So his name's Adam Kleinert, and I've known him since college. We met in college. We were buddies. We hung out a lot. He was kind of quiet, kind of on the reserve side, but really funny and super nice. I've known him for a long time. Always liked him. He's a very, very talented artist. One of the first things I see in his booth is this, I guess it's like an 8x10, maybe a little bigger, artwork of Dwight Schrute, and he's holding a beat, and it has the quote, whenever I'm about to do something, I ask myself, would an idiot do that thing?
Yeah.
And anyway,
Yeah.
so I said, oh, I have to have this. And he does a mix of like watercolor and acrylic, and it's just really beautiful. And there's a lot of nostalgic stuff that he does because he's our age. And I wanted to plug his website. It's AdamKleinertart.
I got you, Kleinert. Got you, bro.
Adam Kleinert
Yeah.
Art.
Mary Beth, you and I went to high school with his little sister, too.
Yes,
She was
we
a
did.
grade below me.
Yes, we did. And we also met a local author named Michael DeCamp, and I ended up buying 2 of his books.
He was super fascinating.
yeah,
I
he
He
thought.
was
Very
really
fascinating.
interesting, and he has
He has 2 different podcasts.
2 different podcasts. And so I bought 2 of his books. He has this collection, this series. The first one called Abandoned Hope, and he said it's like a mix. It takes place in Indiana. It's like young adult mix of Stranger Things meets fantasy meets true crime. So I bought his books, and I'm really looking forward to reading them. I just thought that was neat, and I wanted to give him a plug. Michael DeCamp, a local Indiana author.
Yeah, he was cool. Did he say he was from Muncie?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Good
Yeah.
dude. Like
So
talking to him.
I really can't wait to read his books. Now, this is where we walk out. We take a break because we've been walking. We've been on our feet for a couple
Yeah.
hours. We go out into the hall area. I have to pee. Jen needs a snack. We get her a pretzel. We sit down for a few minutes, and our next mission is to find out where are the celebrities, where do we go, etc. Joe, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, so Jennifer gets her pretzel. Mary Beth's in the restroom. And
I'm sorry, you make me sound like I'm a 4-year-old. Jennifer gets her snack.
Jen needed a
She
snack.
kept throwing a fit. We had to get her a pretzel.
I didn't say that. You did.
No, but it's just so
I'm just trying to be as descriptive
blood
as
sugar
possible.
was dropping a little, and I said I need
I'm
something.
trying to bring everyone into the experience with us.
You're with us.
So I'm being very specific. Mary Beth went to the restroom. Jennifer went to get a soft pretzel.
Oh, after the restroom, I had a smoke.
Yeah. And I'm just there for the fellowship. But after we kind of gather back together, I say, I'm going to find one of these workers in a red shirt, and I'm going to ask them what we should do, where we should go, when we should be there, kind of what to expect, right? So we're on our way back. And first of all, they even have vendor tables outside of the main vendor hall, and they had a separate ballroom, get this, where they had live wrestling.
Yes.
They had like OVW type wrestling.
So Joe, you walked in to take a video for Dad.
I was like, and then I kind of like hesitantly walked in, and the guy goes, "Oh yeah, it's free to anybody. Just walk in." And they actually had people in there like cheering and like were taking it serious.
Yeah.
And these people were in like full character, throwing each other on the mat. It was hilarious.
And they next to like they were mini ballrooms actually. And you could see they were empty at the time, but you could see they were set up for the later
The
panels in the
panels,
day.
yeah. So you could even like look at the sheet and see what the panels were about, and if you were interested. So anyway, we go up to this lady. She kind of looked like she knew what she was doing, and I said, "Hey, quick question: if we have photo ops scheduled and we've paid for those, if they're at this time, if they're at 3:00." Number one, when should we get there to stand in line, and how's that work? And then number two, we're also thinking about paying for an additional photo op at 2:30. Would we be able to hit both? And she was like, "Oh, well, there's Celebrity Row," she called it. And we said, "Celebrity Row?"
Well, I knew about Celebrity Row from the
I did
website.
not. I did not. So
But
hadn't
I
even
was
looked at that detail.
confused about where that was.
Yeah. So she goes, "Yeah, if you just keep going to the very back of the vendor hall and like over to the right a little bit, the whole Celebrity Row is there."
Ladies and gentlemen, this is when we realized we had been in the midst of celebrities the entire time and
Yeah.
didn't
Right.
know it.
It's like that Twitter account that goes, "This is when they realized they had fucked up." Like
Yeah.
we looked at each other like, "Are you kidding me?" We've been like wandering around these like cardboard art vendors and
Oh, yeah.
anime, and I mean some of them were cool.
Yeah.
You had some nostalgic vendors that
Oh, yeah.
had old merchandise and stuff like that, but for the most part, there's a lot of anime and
let's
comic
mention
book stuff.
there were a lot of comic vendors, and Joe and I, as if we were one brain, walked up to one of those big boxes with all the old comics in it. We walked right up without missing a beat and went, got it.
Yeah, that's a Big Bang Theory reference.
I was very proud of us.
Yeah, we did it. We went because it looked just like it did in the show. So we go to the back. I think we got a couple sodas and a water first. They had like these little
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
very
refreshment
thirsty.
vendors.
Now
and-
look, I need water. I was not getting water. I went this entire day with less than one bottle of water. I bring this up because
I was going to say, I love that story, Mary Beth.
it was at this point when I'm thinking to myself, I can't let on to my brother how agonizing this is for me because I'm hurting, but he won't want to travel with me. So I worked very hard to not complain up to this point.
If we're
I
there
was
for an
doing-
hour and a half in Indianapolis, how are you going to go to Europe with me? And you're complaining because you don't have water.
I was already hurting.
So, like the good little brother I am, I bought them a drink. And then we walk to the very end and to the right, like she said, and it was like the clouds had opened up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
It was like,
we started playing the
I mean,
Hallelujah.
Can I just express how
It overcame Mary Beth.
something was welling up as we got close. Like we had smoke behind our feet heading towards Celebrity Row because I knew what I was about to see.
Yeah.
And y'all, one of these days I will give my Twilight testimony for our listeners. So you will know and understand how this was my Graceland experience.
Yeah, I might be sick that day. But anyway, I'm just joking.
Something inside was bubbling up as we got closer and closer. And I can't quite describe it. But it was magical.
You were like a little kid
Kid.
that had just seen Santa Claus.
Let's continue.
But I mean, I was excited too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, because I just felt like we had stumbled on something that was going to change us forever. In terms of if we go back to one of these things,
We'll
we know
never be the same.
Yeah, we know exactly.
Yes,
the
we know
experience
exactly
will
what
be
to
way
do.
different and way better because we
Yes.
know exactly how to do it now.
Yep.
We walked up, and Mary Beth hit her second wind. She hit that fifth gear, and we see the guy from Seinfeld,
Wayne Knight. That's the
Newman.
first one
Yeah,
we
it was the
see.
first
He
one we
was
see.
Newman.
And they
Yes.
have these. So just to kind of lay it out, they have them at these tables, and then behind them they have like these.
Curtains.
Yeah, they're almost like. Well, they had the black curtains, but they almost had like they're not posters, but they had these big thick boards that had a picture of the
Yeah, and
person
their name,
and their
yeah.
name,
And the
so you
name.
could clearly see who they were
From far away.
From far away, and then they had these like little amusement park little mini lines that had like these railings, and you'd walk through the entrance in
It
front
was
of the table.
very organized.
organized.
And it was laid out in such a way that you weren't. I mean, there were 10,000 people there at least.
Oh, gosh,
But
yeah.
you weren't like fighting crowds.
No, at
You
all.
weren't weaving in and out.
at all.
They had it set up in such a clean way
Yeah.
that you could line up, and the lines weren't that bad.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
And not everybody was there. It was like the vendor hall was very busy. I
It
mean,
was
people
very
were-
busy. So people weren't all, it's not like everyone there just stormed the Celebrity Row. Now, here's the thing we got to tell them about celebrity. You said you didn't know about it. weeks before, when I had read the website and I was trying to get the tickets, and you ended up having to get them because my computer wouldn't let me like click on buy. I put everything in the shopping cart. Anyway, I did a lot of reading that day. I knew about Celebrity Row, but the website kept saying that you could meet your favorite celebrities, but it was never quite clear.
Yeah, they didn't
about
specify.
about how you could do that without buying something. So like it would talk about how you could just you're free to meet your celebrity of your choice, and it's this much for a selfie with them and it's this much for an autograph. So it never was made clear that you could just meet them
And just talk to them.
and just talk
and I
to
think
them.
they also thought that you might have to have like a VIP pass, or
Exactly.
like a ruby level pass, or
Right,
whatever
so
they called
we
it.
are looking at these celebrities as we gaze upon this
And
row
we're
of
just like, oh,
celebrities.
these people are so lucky they get to go up there. And talk
Right,
to
and we
these
see
people.
these people in line thinking, oh, well, we've got this photo up. Oh, and those experiences were cash only.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking upon it, we're taking it all in, thinking, well, at least we can see them from a distance. This is so exciting.
Yeah, it was cool.
So it was a little bit before we realized
Mm-hmm.
that you didn't have to pay for anything. But let's first talk about, we pass Wayne Knight's booth,
Ernie Hudson from
Ernie Hudson.
Ghostbusters.
and then we stumble upon Thomas Lennon. Guys,
Oh
if
my
you're
God.
if you're a Friends fan, you will remember Thomas Lennon as the guy in the casino who was Joey's hand twin. He's been in many things.
Like Super Troopers or something like
No,
that.
Reno
or-
911.
He was in
Yeah.
Hot Tub Time Machine when Craig Robinson is at the dog groomer place, and he
Yes.
gets his key stuck in the dog's behind. He's wearing a scarf.
He's also in one of my favorite movies, and he's a lead as Matthew Perry's best friend in 17 again.
Oh,
with,
yeah,
with
good call.
Zac Efron,
Yeah,
which is a
good call.
fantastic movie, and he's hilarious. And so I was very excited to see him, and he was like the third or fourth, whatever. So before we find out that we can meet these people without paying for anything,
We're just kind of standing
we're just kind of
outside the
standing
yeah,
right,
looking
right
like
behind the
idiots.
lines,
Yeah.
looking
right behind the railing where the lines start.
Yeah.
right. And Thomas Lennon is dressed in his full Reno 911 gear
With cowboy boots.
Daisy Duke shorts.
It's a short sleeve cop's uniform with his Ray-Bans on,
Yep.
Daisy Dukes with his boots, and he's actually leaving his table and walking up to us. Walking up to the people, talking and
High five.
he was
people.
in character, like he
spinning
And the guy
around.
Cedric next to him, did they play together? Because
Cedric
they were
Yarborough.
both. Yes.
Oh, I got a story about that.
Yes, so they're both in
So
their
Thomas Lennon is like walking around and in character and doing high fives, and he comes up to us and
High fives me.
he high fives both of us, and he says, "Let me know when you're ready to get pregnant, ladies."
And just like walked off
and
like a
then
mic
walked
drop.
off with his head up,
Yeah.
like strutting, and he
I
had the,
Hilarious.
was losing it.
he was hilarious. And then of course Cedric happens to be right by
Yeah,
us.
but
at
I
the
walked
same
up to
time.
Cedric first. I was talking to Cedric when you guys were talking at
So
first.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
he looked at my sister and he said,
Now-
"Okay, I got to check you for drugs."
Okay, I'm looking at Thomas Lennon thinking, what is my life right now? I love this dude. And I feel this large body press up against my back and this booming deep voice in my
Yes.
ear, and he says, "Ma'am, I'm going to have to check you for drugs." And I turn around and it's Cedric.
And then I looked at him and I said, "Don't check her back pocket." And he said, "Oh, you're a rat. You know what we do with people like you." Puts my hand behind my back like I'm going to be arrested.
So he
They were
walks
so
away
funny.
from me. He has his hands on me, and then he walks to Jen and like he's gonna handcuff her. And we're already just like,
They
this
were
is
just
so fun.
So
because they
before-
were interacting with
Yeah,
everybody.
so
It was
before
just so
that
fun.
even happened, while they're over like they're goo goo and gaga over Thomas Lennon, Cedric Yarborough, God love him, is just like he's there by himself and there's nobody in his line. He walks all the way up to the end of the railing, and I'm the only one standing right there in front of him, and I go, "What's up, dude?" And he like fist bumps me, and I
Yeah.
go, and he's Reno 911. He's been in some other stuff, but I love him in Four Christmases. So
Yeah.
if you're a Four Christmases
That's
fan,
one of your favorite.
there's one of the early scenes where Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon meet Brian Baumgartner from The Office and Cedric Yarborough at dinner, and they're talking about their upcoming trip, and Cedric Yarborough's making fun of his niece, and he goes, "She sucks." And we have to sit there and listen to her sing, and she goes, That's Cedric Yarborough,
Yeah.
the black guy. And he was just cool as hell, just talking to me. I was
So
like, man,
cool.
I go, dude, I love, and he's
dressed.
dressed like in Reno 911. I go, dude, I loved you before Christmas. And he started laughing. He's like, oh, thanks, bro. But as soon as I did that, I was like, oh, those are my two sisters. And that's what made him come out.
Well, bless you, because that was hilarious.
That was
He
so
was
funny.
they were both so funny, and they were in character, and they were so cool with everybody, high-fiving people.
But that was our initiation into
That was our initiation. and
this
we
is
were
how
like,
it works.
This all happened within the first 10 minutes of stumbling upon Celebrity Row. And so our heads were kind of spinning. A few booths down from that was the girl from Cobra Kai.
Yep.
And Jen
Mary
was real
Mauser.
excited.
Yes.
Her name is Mary
Mauser.
Mary Mauser. She plays Ralph Macchio's character, Daniel LaRusso. She plays his daughter, Sam
Yep.
LaRusso.
And we're all big fans of Cobra Kai, by the way.
Yes.
So that was a big deal.
And she was cute as a button.
So cute. Well,
So we hadn't met her. I just
Right.
saw her from a distance. And keep in mind, I
we'll-
took
hey,
some
we'll
pictures.
get there with her.
I
Yeah.
took some pictures from distances. They had like photo Nazis that were like,
we
you
still
can't
didn't
take.
know.
Yeah,
we still didn't know that you could walk up. Because remember, Cedric and Thomas walked
They
up
came
to
up
us.
to us.
So
Exactly.
we still didn't know that you could just get in line.
Right.
And so we're just kind of standing back. Mm-hmm. We get to the point where I can see the Twilight people in a distance, and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Everybody, keep me calm. Keep me calm.
Yes.
This is happening. We saw closer to us, we saw Lou Diamond Phillips in his booth. Next to him was Tony Danza, Mira Sorvino. I'm just mentioning some of the ones that we
saw Priscilla Presley.
Priscilla Presley.
Yes.
We saw Peggy Bundy. At some point, and I don't remember how or when exactly, but at some point we learn.
I remember.
Okay.
There was those two guys that like looked like they were cameramen of some sort, or they were some type of important people in the
There
event.
were a lot of influencers there.
Yeah.
They were influencers. I think they were just doing some live stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're doing
live
some
feeds.
live
Yeah.
feeds, and this dude had like a reddish beard, and we said something, and he goes, "Oh yeah, anybody can just go up and say hi to him. You can go up and say hi to him. You don't have to pay."
We were
for
like, no.
Yeah.
You're kidding me? Like we don't have to pay for an autograph or a selfie? He's like, well, I mean, you can. He goes, but you don't have to.
Now listen, we would have paid, folks, but remember I said cash only, so we were
Right.
not prepared.
Right.
But there was an ATM machine in there.
But it was
people were
far
all-
away.
Right, and we
Yeah.
had already prepaid for the photo op, so we already,
Yeah.
We had spent a pretty penny
Right.
on that, and so
So he said that, and
and
we kind of
the Twilight photo op, the group was going to be about $300 or
yeah, because
more.
there's three of them. They're typically
3 people.
Yeah, there's 3 people.
So
in
it's
the photo.
$300. So we still don't know if we're going to spend money on that. So, we didn't want to schlep all the way to the ATM.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. But we thought, oh my God, we can just like meet them and not buy anything. I mean, it felt bad,
Yeah.
but we just weren't.
was a game
prepared.
changer.
We just
Yeah.
weren't prepared.
We weren't prepared, but it was a game changer.
But once we found that out,
We got in line like little nerds.
guys, I almost lost my shit
Yeah.
because I thought I'm gonna have to meet them.
Oh, 100%.
I can't chicken out. Now, our listeners, you have heard how I was a weepy little baby when I met Lady A. You heard what I did when I met Jordan Peterson, how I was just like, you're my hero. And then I shook my husband's hand. You guys would be so proud of me on how I handled this.
You held it together.
I held it together because
I
I
went
thought
up there
I'm not
with-
going to have another
Yeah.
horror story to tell when I meet my heroes.
So Jennifer you said you had never really seen Twilight, right?
I haven't. I've not read the books, and I mean, I know the people that play in the movie. Peter, what's his name?
Facinelli.
Yeah,
Facinelli.
I remember him like as a teenager, young adult. He was always like the hot guy, and he was married to Jenny Garth. They have children together. They're still very
Yeah,
good friends.
he was Mike Dexter and Can't Hardly Wait.
Can't Hardly
Yeah,
Wait
yes.
is one of my all-time favorite teen movies.
So I knew of him, but I stayed back and held their
Yeah,
stuff
because she wasn't as familiar.
Now listen.
She was gracious enough to let Mary Beth
She was
and I.
gracious enough to stand back and not let the Nazis
I snuck
stop
some
her
pictures.
from
I
taking
still took. I
pictures.
took some pictures.
because I said, if I can't get a picture, I need proof that this happened. So Jen is kind of like snapping all sorts of pictures.
Oh, I was hiding
Now,
She
behind
was like
people.
the paparazzi.
Now, we're at a point where the booths kind of separate. Now, there's enough room behind the booths and the black curtains. That's where the golf carts and the security guards are whizzing by the celebrities when they take breaks. And we're at a point where there's a break in the booths and the curtains. And very, very slowly, I see a golf cart go by behind the curtain, shuffling William Shatner toward I guess his break area.
Freaking Captain Carter.
And I was like,
drove by us in
that's
a golf
William Shatner
Yeah.
right in front of us.
Oh, yeah.
As he's going by, someone's entering the area with security, and it's Rainn fucking Wilson.
Dwight Schrute,
This
ladies
is
and gentlemen.
20 feet away from us, kids. And I go, there he is. There's Rainn. Oh my God, there's Rainn.
That was the main reason we went.
That's
Yeah.
why we went. And there he was. I could have just said, hey, Rainn, and he would have heard me.
Yeah.
I was trying very hard to keep it together. Now, did we meet anybody before Twilight? Did we stand in line?
I feel like Ashley Green was the first one.
Was she the first one?
I feel like.
It wasn't Danza and
No.
You met Ashley
Okay.
Yeah,
first.
because you will get. Do you want me to tell you what you did, or
tell me what I did.
Okay, so she held it together when we first walked up. Now
Oh,
we had
kids.
to wait in line for like 5 minutes.
Oh my
'cause
God!
we had to wait in line for about five. Yeah, we had to wait in line for about five-ish minutes because people in front of us were getting autographs and selfies.
Can I interject with how bizarre this was? Again, this was a very well-oiled machine they had going. The celebrities, I could tell, were spending so much time with each person.
They really were taking
but
their
yet
time.
the line went by so fast.
Yep. Yeah. So
Nobody was rushing anybody off.
So we are literally one person away from meeting Ashley Green, who is Alice in Twilight. She's beautiful.
Oh my God.
And Mary Beth,
Joe was excited too.
yeah. And Mary Beth, I wasn't even like touching Mary Beth's hand or her arm, and I could just feel her like electricity like coming off her body.
I was
she
vibrating.
was so excited.
I was vibrating.
No, I was trying to keep it together to seem cool.
Now, oh,
But she, we walk up to her.
now
and-
wait, before that.
You want me to tell my story?
We have to.
Okay. I don't mean to brag.
I don't want to brag. I don't want to boast.
I don't want to brag. I don't want to boast.
I want to tell them I like toast.
But she is talking to a nerdy gentleman in front of us, and I'm in her eye view. Like she can
Yes.
look up from this
She
guy
can see
and
who's
see
next,
me.
yeah.
See who's next. Yeah, she looked up once, looked down again at the guy, and then looked back up at me again a second time.
Ashley Green did a double take on our brother.
I just want to make sure everybody heard that. Ashley Green, who was Alice in Twilight, gave me a double take.
Because Joe is rather handsome.
I saw it with my own two eyes, and it happened.
Joe is a little hottie, boom body.
And even though she may not be in my family one day, I like to think that I have a chance because
Well, we need to backtrack a little bit. When we arrived, and I came in from my disastrous smoke, we were standing in Joe's kitchen, and I said, Joe, do me a favor today. I need you to catch Ashley Green's eye.
you did.
And I need you to date her, and I need you to make her part of our family.
You did.
She did. Before the rain hit
She
us
did.
and everything, she said
And I almost got there. I almost got us there.
I didn't know if she was married. I was like, I don't care. I need you to make her fall in love with you today so that we can make this happen.
I did my part.
So she did a double take.
She did a double take. I saw it with my own two eyes.
Yep.
But we get there.
We get there.
I'm
And,
snapping all kinds of photos of
and
their
Mary Beth, I'll
interaction.
give her credit. She was still pretty calm. I mean, for the most part. She
Yes.
was. I mean, we were excited. We were like, we shook
So
her.
I'm so far back, I
we
can't
shook
tell.
her-
I don't even know what's being said.
Yeah, we
Okay.
shook her
But they're
hand, and
both,
she
like-
asked us our name. She was
Yes.
very polite,
Yes.
you know.
I saw interaction.
Because I imagine these celebrities probably get tired of doing some of this because I'm sure
I'm sure it is.
Indy wasn't the only one they have to go to, and so they, it's just a lot.
It's a lot.
But she asked our names.
Yeah,
and-
she shook our hand.
And she shook our hand. We told her our names, and I said, I'm Joe, and maybe I said, I'm Mary Beth. And she goes, oh, my dad's name's Joe, my brother's name's Joe, and I've dated a Joe. And I go, huh, well.
And I said, I did all those things.
Mary Beth goes, I did all those things
I
too.
said, my brother's name is Joe. Our dad's name is Joe. I dated a Joe.
Yeah.
I said, we have a lot of Joes
So
in our
there's special
family.
people with that name.
That's
and she
right.
started laughing, of course,
And
because she
I
was
think-
into me.
I think I said something like, I'm the one who turned you on to Twilight.
You did. And I think I said something to the effect of, it took a while for her to get me on board. I said, and I think I had some former teammates that made fun of me, but once I watched it, I was hooked. And she started laughing.
Yeah. We talked a bit about how people love to hate on it until they watch it, and then they're,
Yeah.
in love with it. And let's see.
And you talked about your teaching.
After the name thing, I said, I was an English teacher, high school English teacher for almost 17 years. I said I was the OG Twilight mom. My daughter's turning 20 this month, and she has been quoting the movie since she was 4, and she's still a huge fan. I said I started a Twilight club at school. I said I'm such a huge fan, and then we talked about how I said, we're even taking a trip this fall to the Pacific Northwest so that we can do a Twilight tour. And she was like, oh, it's so beautiful. And she started talking about that area because she didn't get to film.
That was what I thought was really cool. Was she goes, yeah, that was it La Push or was it another area she mentioned?
She mentioned another one. I can't remember the name of it.
But the way she said it was like so nonchalant. But in our world, it was like she said something like, yeah, I really didn't have to film there. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
your life is just so different.
Her scenes weren't there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of her
She
filming
goes,
was
but I've heard it's beautiful and this and that. And she was very
yeah,
engaging in the like she was very interested in what we were saying.
I could
Yeah.
and see from a distance. I could tell that she was really into your all's conversation and joining in with.
Yeah, she wasn't like, okay, do you want an autograph or something?
Yeah,
Like
she wasn't like that at all.
None of them.
I bet you we
really
talked.
were.
I bet you her in particular. We talked for 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It was
a
pretty
long
good,
time.
maybe even
And she
longer.
seemed really engaged, and we have the pictures to prove it.
Yeah.
And so I think I ended with, now, how do you know, like, how do you sum up to someone who's meant so much to you for so many years without losing your shit? But I think I ended it with something like, I think that's when I explained about the Twilight Club and how many years I'd loved it. And I said, I just want you to know what an honor it is to meet you and how your work and everybody's work to make this series come to life has just meant so much to me all these years. And I just wanted you to know that. And she was like, oh, thank you so much. Oh, we did tell her, this is important for later, we did tell her that we're sorry we're not buying anything right now. We just weren't prepared for this. This is our first time. And I said, we really want to do the group photo op with you guys, but we don't know if we can swing it, so we just had to meet you. And she was very gracious because I felt bad about taking their time
and
without spending any money.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she was very gracious. And later on, that'll be important to our story.
That'll be important to our story. And Mary Beth, we walked away.
Okay, I got choked up at the end of that sentence.
As soon as they walked towards me,
and as soon as I walked to
she
Jen,
looks at me and I go, "Are you gonna cry?"
I was crying.
And Mary Beth
She
does
was
the head
crying.
nod, and
Yes,
she
and
cried like a little 5-year-old.
cried. She was so overwhelmed.
But guys, I held it together.
You did.
Yes, you did.
Until
Yes, you
the
did.
final word. And then I
Yes.
walked away and started to have a mini panic attack and tears came. And I couldn't believe I had just met someone
She fangirled.
so special
And
to me.
of course, while she's crying, I looked over at Jen and go, Ashley Green did a double take when she saw
Yeah.
me. Like, that's
No.
all I cared about.
And
at
that's
that
all we
point.
heard the rest of the
Okay,
day.
right next to her was Jackson Rathbone, who played Jasper.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to meet him too, but his line was super long.
Super long.
And we were worried about time.
So we passed that one. But we did go, we went to Peter.
Right next to him was Peter
Peter
Facinelli, Dr. Carlisle,
Dr. Cullen.
who we've known for years as Mike Dexter, because it's one of my favorite movies. You want to take this one?
Sure. So,
Dude.
So Mary Beth goes, I'm going to need you to initiate this one. I go, I got
I
you.
was so nervous.
I said, the majority. So we walk up to him, and he's the same way. He was you could tell he wasn't annoyed.
Right.
It was a cool vibe. So we walk up, and I think I shook his hand. I go, hey man, I go, listen, I know most people are here because of Twilight. I go, but I pointed at the little poster next to him, and it was his Can't Hardly Wait poster. I go, but freshman year in college, I go, Can't Hardly Wait. I go, Mike Dexter. I go, classic. I go,
Classic.
I go, that's what you're known for.
And I said my husband, I quote this movie all the time in my house. My husband loves my Seth Green impression. He goes, oh, I gotta
Yeah,
hear
he
it.
goes,
I gotta hear it.
And Mary Beth did it.
And so I did a 92%.
And he started laughing. He goes, oh man, that's great.
And then he told us that he went to some kind of function recently where there was a screening of the movie. And he's like, all these years later,
He goes, it still holds up.
it's still, and we said, it's funny as hell.
Yeah, we're just having like a general conversation with him about his movie.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
I told him the same story about being a teacher and loving Twilight, and my daughter loving it. And we told him about the photo op that we wanted to try to make happen. And we told him about Pacific Northwest in the fall. And he goes, oh. You got to go and you got to go when Kellen and Jackson are going to be there. There's some kind of event.
Like a fan fest of some sort.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
It's like
They're-
September. or
It's in
something,
September, but the meet and greets with those two are sold out.
Ah,
I know.
Bush.
But I thought it was so cool that for him to give us that tip. I was like, that's awesome.
Oh, that's
Thank
okay.
you.
Jackson's my friend now, so I'll just DM him on Instagram and be like, hey, we're coming. So
But it's like an annual
it's
Twilight.
like a fan fest of some
Yeah.
sort.
It's like Twilight and Forks
Yeah,
Festival.
exactly. But
And
he was
so-
super cool.
Yeah. So we got to tell him what Peter Facinelli said to us toward the end.
Yeah, so I throw in at the end, I'm like, man, I was in a fraternity in college, so the Mike Dexter thing we were always like, Mike
and when we told him
Dexter.
about the photo op, he was like, if you get a chance to do it, I'll let you put me in a headlock.
Well, he was like, you know what you should do? He goes, you should like get me in a headlock and act like you're hitting me over the head, and like Mike Dexter kind of thing, like a bully thing. I go, that's a great idea. I was like, let's do it.
So, and you all did mention your podcast because I'm going to say...
And we mentioned our podcast.
I'm still back there taking the pictures. Now, I remember him and other things because he's in my generation and he was always the hot guy in the movies or the shows.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I just go, Bet, because remember everyone, I call her Bet. I said, Bet. And they both turn around and Peter's just looking at me with a big smile. And I go,
we're like, oh, that's our sister.
I go, tell him about your podcast, The Best of Gen X. He gives me a big thumbs up like, oh yeah, they already did it. And I go... Just trying to plug them. Just try to advertise.
Joe
for
was
them.
plugging our podcast to everybody.
Oh yeah, we were telling everyone.
Yeah, you just wait till our listenership goes up dramatically.
But he was so down to earth
and
laughing with. Like I looked over and saw him laughing. I don't know how many times.
Yeah, he gave me the bro handshake,
and
I was telling him about the podcast, and he was like, "Oh man, that sounds so cool."
And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my gosh, like." They look like they could all be friends.
Yeah.
And then what does he say to you?
So at the very end...
there are pictures of him laughing at what we're saying.
Yeah, there's a picture of me giving him like the bro handshake, and then when I let go of him, he's smiling. He like throws his arms up. He goes, "Man, you guys are so fun. Like I just want to like hang out with y'all."
Oh my God. Do you think I didn't almost piss my pants when that happened?
Yeah, I almost jokingly looked at Mary Beth and then looked at him and went, "Oh, let's do it. You want to schedule that? Hold on. Let's get our phones.
Look at my calendar.
Hey, what's your number?"
My stomach just leapt when he said that. I was like, oh my God, Dr. Carlisle Cullen thinks that we're cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So we start walking out of the line, like to go back to the entrance, and I looked at Mary Beth and I go, I think he wants to be our friend.
Yeah, I think so. So by this point, we are telling ourselves we have to make this photo op happen.
By that point, we were sold.
We were
doing it.
Already,
it didn't matter how much it was.
Deal.
It was going to
happen.
happen.
We were going to make it happen.
So at this point, Joe decides hey, there's the people we need to talk to. I'm going to find out if this can happen. So you two get in line, and I say, I've got to go to the restroom. Now, there's a little spot. So we're at the end of the convention hall, of Exhibit Hall.
And pretty much the end
and
of
so you have to kind of go
Road.
behind the black curtain to go to the women's restroom. It's by the double doors where you could exit.
And this is where they drive the golf carts and
right. Stuff. So I come out of the restroom. I cannot believe this. Oh my God. I follow him on Twitter. I was really excited about seeing him. I come out of the women's restroom. They're still in line, and there's like nobody around. I'm in the perfect spot where there's like nobody around. I see 2 parked golf carts with security guards getting ready to take people somewhere. As I'm walking closer to the golf cart to get to Joe and Jen, Dean fucking Cain is walking toward me, toward the golf cart.
Superman.
Now, I planned it ahead of time, and I said it. I didn't chicken out. And I pointed, and I was like, that's my man. I said, MAGA forever, man. And he goes, he diverted from the golf cart and walked right up to me and high-fived me. And he was like, that's what I'm talking about. And he started to get in his golf cart, and I was like, it's amazing. Winning feels so good. And he goes, man, these first 50 days have just been amazing. And I was like, you got to love it. He's like, it's common sense, baby. And they drove off. And I was like, I walked up to Jen and Joe in the line.
So
and
we're still in line. I see her walking slowly to us, and she's making this weird face. Like she saw a ghost. And I go, oh my God, who did you just meet? And then she told us the story.
I said I just accidentally met Dean Cain.
You met Superman.
Unbelievable.
Man, I was wearing my Superman lanyard too.
I know.
Yes, you were.
Dang it.
That was one of your first purchases when we got there.
Dang it.
Yeah.
But I was really happy for you that you did that. That was cool.
That was fun. So we get the information. You find out that it can work.
As luck would have it, it's structured in such a way where the guy was like, oh yeah, no issue.
So there's a section, it turns out, these photo ops aren't happening in some other room or some other hall. They're right in there.
Yeah.
But it's set up in a way that, again, not a big crowd, no one's in your way. It's just a separate section for these photo ops.
But they have a guy with a mic, and they have to announce, and they have a timeline.
And they have a screen on
screen.
when you're allowed to start going in the lines.
Yes.
And,
Right. So if your photo op's at 3, they announce Rainn Wilson, 3:00 photo op, get in line.
Right. And if you're there way too early, he'll be like, if you're here for William Shatner, walk away.
Right.
It's
Go get something to eat.
Yeah,
and come
go get
back.
something to eat.
So it's like so good. And the people who are working this place were so nice.
And like they were helpful for information.
Like they would be walking like hastily to go do something, and you could stop them and be like, "Hey, when should we be?" And they'd be like, "Oh," and they'd point.
Yeah.
So when we realized that the photo ops are all right there, and the photo booths are like sectioned off right next to each other, we knew we could make it happen. We go straight to that desk, and I said, "I'll take a photo op with the Twilight Trio,
She
please."
did, man. Listen, she put that car down with
Sure did.
Hey, with authority.
And when they said how much it was, she goes, "This is a once in a lifetime."
She was like, "I don't care."
Yeah, so when I looked it up ahead of time on the website, it was $290. When we got to the event, it was $333 and some change. I was like, "Worth it."
Yeah, because like on average, an individual photo op with Rainn Wilson was like 100. So like, but they had 3 people in their photo in the group. You know, the 3 cast members.
So after that, we decide we've got time.
Let's go look at some more.
Some more people. Lou Diamond Phillips. We get up.
We did the same thing.
Same thing.
We start telling him about. I told him about how I saw La Bamba in the theater when I was 5 years old, and he goes, "Oh man, like that age."
Yeah.
He's like,
It
"Oh,
probably
man."
made him feel old.
We told him we have a podcast about
We
Gen
told him
X.
about the podcast.
We said we did an episode about movies, and we had a category of movies that we saw
that impacted
that
us.
impacted us too young. Like we were too young to handle the emotion of it. And I said, La Bamba was on it for both of us. Like it broke our hearts. It was just so good.
And I have to say, I said to him, I said, I have to admit to you that I saw that movie. I was about 9 years old or so, and that was the first, I think, true story movie that I'd ever seen, and that's what got me hooked on documentaries, biographies.
Yeah, you did say that.
Biopics.
And he was like, awesome. I'm so glad. And then I said, okay, before we
Oh,
leave,
this is good.
I said, I have to ask you, is this rumor or true? And he said, what's that? I said, is there a Young Guns 3 coming out? And he said, yes. Yep. And I was like, I knew it. And so he said,
you heard
filming
it.
starts
You
in
heard
summer.
it first, not here first, but you heard it here. Lou Diamond Phillips told us
Directly.
because we're friends now,
and they start filming in the summer.
that they are filming Young Guns 3 in the summer.
He was super nice too.
He was very
honestly.
nice and very good looking still. Man,
Yes.
he's aged like a
I tell
fine
you
wine.
What, they shake your hand. You know how some would be like, oh, let's just fist bump. I don't want to. They were all so wonderful. They'd probably hug you if you asked. They were all really, really nice.
And we forgot to say, Peter Feccinelli, the people in front, the 2 girls in front of us, we had a conversation
good.
waiting in line. They were young, 20 years old. They were from Michigan, and they were overhearing me geek out as we were approaching, getting closer and closer. And so they were just really sweet, and they were like, we feel you. Well, one of the girls' mother wanted to be there and was a fan, and she was like, but she can't. She was disabled, or
I remember
she
this.
was sick, and she was in Michigan. And Peter Feccinelli, like without charging,
no hesitation,
because you had to buy, you had to pay for the selfies and stuff. He says, FaceTime your mom.
Yeah.
And so we're next in line watching him FaceTime this girl's mom, and she's crying on the phone. It's like everybody was just so gracious about the fans. And so I guess the people, the celebrities who go to Comic-Con, I get the feeling now, looking back, that they kind of know that this is a place for true fans, like hardcore.
Yes.
And the people who sign on to do it know what they're in for and know how to treat the people who made them who they are.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So before we go to break, we're going to talk about our last celebrity meeting.
This one was super cool.
Well, one of the last. Mira Sorvino was just setting up. There was no one in line, so we just ran up to there.
Right up to her.
And she was just getting set up, cute as a button.
Yeah.
And I geeked out. I was like, I love Romy and Michelle.
Yeah, it's like she just walked up to her and goes, Romy and Michelle. And I was like, yeah.
She looked at Mary Beth and I, and we were just saying how it, she kind of had like a trance look on her face and said, you 2 are sisters.
She did say that.
She could totally tell we were sisters.
I was like, people say that. We just don't get
She
it.
goes, oh, yeah, you 2 are sisters. I could totally
and I'm over
tell.
on the side and I go, I'm the brother.
She was very
and
sweet.
among the pictures, that you could sign for autographs was her Oscar picture. And I remember
the
it.
dress, yes.
I hate, this is one of those things that I thought of later. I hate that I didn't say this. Now, guys, I also geeked out at one point in my life about Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Her father, Paul Sorvino, played Lord Capulet, Juliet's father. So I loved him for that. And I remember her Oscar speech because he was in the audience, and I know she loved her father so much and was so, wrecked when he passed away. And I hate that I didn't say that in that moment because I was just like, I pointed to the picture and I said, your Oscar look was one of the best of all time. She looked so
Classy.
and
Yes.
dainty and beautiful. I wish I would have said why I remember that moment, why I remember that look, because her father was just so proud and just tears streaming down his face when she was giving her speech. It was just I'm going to get choked up. It was a beautiful moment. And that's why I remembered it, but I didn't say it in that moment. But anyway, our last celebrity meeting before we go to break was Tony Danza.
Oh my gosh.
Who's the boss?
Who's the
Tony
boss?
Danza.
Oh my gosh, this
He
guy.
was awesome.
Guys,
This guy.
he was, first of all, how adorable is
Yes,
he?
he is precious. Like
He's very little. Like
He's-
I have to speak up. He's very little, but he is in great shape for his
yeah,
age.
he actually is.
I mean,
And he
probably.
looks
I
great.
bet you he wasn't more than 160 pounds. I mean,
He
he's
was tiny.
Fit,
Yeah,
he was fit.
But he still has that
Long
beautiful
hair, but it's all silver.
It's
And,
all
and he
silver.
starts talking, and it's like he's got that thick New York accent.
Oh, man.
Still has that New York accent.
I was like, oh, boy.
So we walk up to him, and one of the first things I say is, we grew up watching you. We never missed an episode of Who's the Boss. You feel like our uncle.
He cracked up when we said that.
He goes, oh my goodness. And then we told him that we had a podcast. The Best of Gen X.
And we said we had one that we talked about shows, and
I said we talked about sitcoms one episode, and Who's the Boss was definitely mentioned. It's part of our childhood, and it's just such an honor to meet you. And then
That's when I said I have to say, it was one of those things that once a week, it was like, no, I can't come over and play. I've got to watch Who's the Boss. And he starts laughing.
and then when you said that, I go around the box TV.
Yes.
And he looked at me and started
he
smiling.
Said,
He's like,
and then
"Yep."
he went down to his elbows.
yeah,
like
he rests his elbows on the table
Yeah,
and
he leaned
like, come
into
here, I
us.
wanna tell
he
you a
leaned,
secret,
he leaned
kind of.
into us.
yeah, it was like a gather
He's like,
round
I'm about
moment.
ready to hit you guys with some knowledge.
Yeah.
And it was so moving because he said, times are so different now. You don't get around like a family and watch TV shows together. And we talked about, he goes like MASH and all
He
the
goes, I
millions of
remember the
people."
MASH finale.
Yeah.
And millions. It just doesn't happen anymore. And families, we don't share that moment anymore. I can't do his accent.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
but it was like that. It was just that.
it was such a
true-
thick Tony Danza accent.
It was, and he was absolutely precious.
Yeah, and he
was
just
precious.
I couldn't believe that he was taking the time to like lean in and have a meaningful conversation with us about.
Yeah, I felt like we were like sitting Indian style
But
around
it was,
him,
and
like,
it was, and he talked to us like we've been neighbors our whole life.
Yeah.
And he knows us. Like
And
it was
then-
just precious.
And we agreed. We were like, I said that is exactly the sort of stuff that we talk about on our
Yeah.
podcast, how times are different and like
And it was so
we
much
don't
better.
share in those moments anymore. Those moments don't happen where the world is watching the same thing together and you don't gather with your family around the TV. And how important that time was together. And so to share that with him meant the world, and he was just so sweet.
He was absolutely precious. And keep in mind, I was taking distant photos.
Right.
I was making sure the photo Nazis weren't looking, and I was taking pictures of all these people.
Yep.
So I captured them.
All right, it's time for a break. Guys, when we come back, we're going to talk about the moment.
the moment.
The photo op.
Oh,
The photo op with Rainn Wilson
It's
and the
gonna get
Twilight
even better.
crew. Oh my God.
Hey, listeners, do you like judging people as much as we do?
Then judge us.
To submit your criticisms and complaints about our show, you can reach us at gotohell@bazinga.biz.
For all other comments, questions, or suggestions about future episodes, drop us a line. Send us a text from our website at thebestofgenx.buzzsprout.com and click on the link just above the show notes.
Or email us at thebestofgenx@gmail.com.
And we're back. Oh, folks, here we go.
Buckle up.
First, I got to give a shout out to our latest country added to our list. We're now in 17 countries. Welcome to the audience, Bangladesh. Bangladesh. Glad
Cool name.
glad you
Bangladesh.
joined the party. Hey, Bangladesh is just below Bhutan.
Is that an Office reference?
Yes, it is.
We're
So
in Shanjan in Bhutan.
welcome to the party, Bangladesh. And I see you, Indonesia. I see those numbers climbing.
Are they climbing?
They're climbing, Indonesia. I see you. We
must
see
be.
you.
Hey, we must be doing something they like.
We love you, Indonesia. Keep listening.
Bangladesh. I just like to say that.
I know, Bangladesh. All right. Well, should we just tell them that we're in line now? We're in line. We
Yes.
got our photo ops ready. We have made it to the Twilight photo op.
Yes.
Now, here's what we didn't realize. We could tell as we were just observing these lines moving. Because again, like we said earlier, it was a well-oiled machine. They had the
Yes.
screen going. They had the MC
Yes.
just ushering people through. We realized, man, we know how to do this next time, because the photo op that we were so excited about is just a quick, like, get up next to them, click, click,
Yeah.
goodbye.
Yeah, shake your hand. How's it going?
Right.
These photo
Pose
people were
out.
like Nazis
Now,
again.
we didn't say that we passed Rain's booth when he was meeting people.
We didn't because the line was too long.
But the line was insane.
Very insane.
So the photo op was our only chance.
Yeah. And well, we just told ourselves, we got his photo op, we're good.
Yeah.
But that was before we got in line and realized how quickly they were just
Spitting them out.
spitting people
Yeah.
out. And we thought, damn, this is why we're here. And we're only going to get seconds with this guy. So, but here's the cool thing. So we start with the Twilight photo op. And again, the people in that line who were running things were super nice. And Rain's line was getting long.
Yeah, it was like 5 or 6 different lines.
And we
least
told
it was overflowing.
the two people with their clipboards or their little iPads or whatever the hell they were using, we said, we've got a photo op over here right next to it with Rain, and we're worried we won't make it. And we were in the, like, basically the front behind the disabled people. Oh, here's a pro tip for anyone who wants to go to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Grab yourself a wheelchair.
Or a pimp cane.
Or a cane or a walker or nothing. Because there were plenty of people in the disabled line who were walking perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what
they
that...
were like skipping to my loo, getting to the.
I don't know what that was about.
Yeah.
But we do have a couple of funny stories to share about people watching. I mentioned earlier that some people there were allergic to soap. Mm-hmm. There was one guy, as we were waiting to get into the photo op line, who kept... Okay, imagine Jack Black
Yes.
with
Hair pull back in a ponytail.
shoulder-length hair. It was a half-pulled, like,
That's what it was.
sumo wrestler kind of look.
Yeah.
And he was cloaked in a silver glittery cape. He had a huge drink in his hand, like a huge tumbler of some kind.
He had
And
these
he-
heels.
he had
Sparkly silver heels. on.
Sparkly silver ankle boots.
Yeah.
And some kind of sexy getup. Like
And he had the sparkly head, the matching headband.
the matching headband. And he was like Jack Black, heavier than Jack Black. He had a very sexy outfit on and some tights that I didn't want to stare too long at. And he kept weaving through the crowd.
Like, excuse me. But
And
he has-
Jen was like, I don't know what he's looking for. And suddenly he goes, Mom! Mom! Where are you, Mom?
Yeah, he had like his phone on speaker and he was yelling for his mom.
But I almost thought he was being like videoed, like it was like a skit or something. He was like he was talking to himself.
I thought surely there's a prank happening. We don't.
Yeah, but he kept looking at people to see their reactions.
I wanted to
too.
stop him and go, come on. Did you lose a bet?
Yeah.
Mom!
Oh my gosh, one guy walked up to us or towards us, and while Joe's talking to me, I just pointed to the guy. You know, you shouldn't point, but I pointed to him and started laughing because his shirt said, I shaved my balls for this.
It did.
Well, he saw me do that.
It was like one of those classic like ring collar T-shirts.
Yes.
That said, I shaved my balls for this.
And
And he stopped and talked to us.
and talked to us because he smiled real big. I mean, he had a bald head. He
face
painted
was
his
painted white.
entire head, his
Yeah.
entire bust was painted white and had like a clown almost
Yeah,
makeup
he was
on
some
his face.
character of some sort.
I don't
but
know
we
what
had
he
no
was.
idea what
I
it
got to
was.
talk about the Jon Snow lookalike. So
Oh,
there's a
that was
guy
great.
dressed head to toe. Even his hair was like shoulder length, curly, thick black like Jon Snow. And he had on the cloak.
He looked
and
like a Viking. Yeah, he was like
no, he was dressed like Jon Snow. He even had long claw.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just a few feet away from each other. As he was walking by, I gave him my best sexy head nod. And he gave me a sexy head nod back. And I told Jennifer, I go, this guy understood the assignment because he looked good.
Yeah.
Jon Snow is a favorite of mine, folks. We will talk about Game of Thrones at some point.
Oh, real quick, I just want to tell you guys that Ashley Green double take. Give me a double
Oh,
take.
did we tell you that Ashley Green did a double take
Sorry.
to our brother?
Yep, sorry, go ahead.
And then when we were in line for the photo ops, there was a pair in front of us. It was an elderly woman, like a grandmother with, I guess, her grandson, who was dressed like
Elvis.
It was part Elvis, part Liberace. Couldn't
Yeah.
quite tell.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was it was actually because
It
this
was
guy
like a
was very
disco
skinny.
era outfit, but he had
Yes.
like
And he
a-
was very young. He looked like he was barely out of his teens.
Yeah, he was pencil thin too.
She had blue hair
And she had blue.
up in a clip.
It was just you talk about a cast O characters. Mm-hmm. All right, so when we finally got our spot,
This might have been the best part of the whole day.
it might have been. I'm gonna say it was.
Okay.
The photo ops, the booths were all black curtains, right? So you couldn't see inside. And so you kind of had to, like, once it was your turn, you walk in and there's a tiny line inside the little square area. And so they just file you in real quick, in and out. And I was like, oh my God. However, we walk in and Peter Facinelli, Ashley Green, Jackson Rathbone, Ashley and Peter look at us and they go, you made it!
They remembered
They
them.
remembered us.
Guys, they remembered us.
Yeah, that made the whole day right there.
Let's talk about how we decided to stand.
We must have been impressionable.
Well, remember, Peter said, you
He
guys
did.
are awesome. I want to hang out with you.
Yeah, he did.
So
There was 3 of them and 3 of us, so we kind of had to figure out.
who was going to stand where?
This was a very important decision.
It was incredibly important.
It was especially important for me because my future wife, who gave me a double take in case anybody forgot that I said that 10 seconds ago. Yeah, so I think I wanted to kind of stand in between her and... Were you on the end? No, you were on my left.
Yes.
So I got to stand in between you and her, and then Jackson stood on your other side, and then Mary Beth got to stand by.
Yeah. So
man
there's
Peter.
Jackson on the end, and then there's Jen, and then Joe and Ashley. I love the way this sounds. Joe and
listen.
Ashley were in the
It
center
makes sense.
of the photo. Now, if you took the photo and just cropped the 2 of them, it legit looks like a red carpet couple stance. Like they looked like a couple in the center of this
Keep
photo.
going. Keep going.
So as we're all setting up, and I'm looking.
Oh, no, just keep going about that specifically.
I'm looking over to my left at Joe and Ashley and everybody getting set up, and I feel someone's hand sort of bump my ass, and it startled me, and I looked over to my right, and it was Peter Facinelli, and he goes, "Oh, hey, sorry," and so I put my hand, he put his hand around my waist, and I put my hand around his waist. And he was like, just trying to squeeze in here. So I cannot confirm or deny that was on purpose or if it's an accidental ass graze, but it
We're
happened.
going to say on purpose.
It happened,
gonna say on
and
purpose.
I wasn't mad about it.
Yeah, and I got to put my hand around her waist, and I truly was not mad about that.
Yeah.
And she had a little teeny waist.
Yeah, so just getting positioned was fun and funny, and just
Oh yeah.
it was a way to interact with them again. And then they took the picture, and they were like, "I'm so glad you got to do this," because they knew we
Yeah.
really wanted to. And then we ushered out, and it was amazing.
We geeked out.
We
We're like,
geeked
I
out.
can't believe they remembered us like that.
It's just
yeah.
a
Because
cloud.
that's the first thing they said is, "You made it."
I couldn't believe they remembered us. So then we rush over to the Rainn Wilson line. We get through. I mean, his line actually took. There were like 6 or 7 lanes.
Yeah, like swim lanes, lines.
I mean, there were so many people there with Office T-shirts, Office memorabilia.
Oh yeah.
So once that line started going, it was super fast, and we were like, we had been talking for days about what we were going to say to him, and now that we knew we only had seconds, we're like, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. This is why
Right.
we're here. What are we going to
Yeah.
do? And I guess we should just go ahead and say we're there. We're behind the curtain. It's our turn. Now, the people in front of us are ushered out, and Jen is in front of me.
So the people, like I said, they're photo Nazis. They're like in and out, in and out. Don't even talk to them. Just
but they were nice.
They
Yeah,
were.
they
They were
weren't-
like they're
they
on a
weren't
time
unpleasant.
crunch. We got to hurry. I was determined. I was going to say something to the Dwight Schrute. I was going to say something that was famous that he always said on the show. And as soon as
disclaimer.
yes,
Our sister is a saint.
no, I'm
Our
not.
sister never curses.
I don't. My kids, I don't cuss.
Maybe if she stubbed her toe.
Yes.
But even then.
I might slip one out by accident every now and
But
then.
she never cusses.
But
So
I thought, I am determined to say. So as soon as they said, okay, your turn, he looks over at us. Now, keep in mind, he was friendly to people, but in the picture, he looks like he's disappointed, but he's not.
In the picture, he looks so sad.
And then, of course, he says, thank you, and he smiles real big. He looks over at us, and I just looked right at him, and I go, damn it, Jim. And he just starts laughing, and he sees all the shirts we're wearing, and he goes, oh my God, guys, I love it. I love it. And
he took it in. He looked
and
at
they
all
were
of
still trying to rush us.
Now, yeah, in the background this entire time, our voices behind us and behind the camera going, okay, set up, all right, get position, let's go.
Yeah.
But we're just drowning them out.
Yeah, we didn't care.
Yeah, we didn't care. He didn't seem to either.
And he didn't seem to care either.
He wanted to talk with us. So we get close to each other, and right before they snap the picture. Now, keep in mind, you remember back in January after the new year, there was the wildfires, and a lot of the Pacific Palisades are pretty much gone. He lost a house, among many others. And
after he looked at her shirts, and then we started to sort of line up, he shook our hands. He shook my hand, and I said, I love your podcast, and I love the journey that you're on. And he goes, oh, thank you so much. And then we get set up.
We get set up. I'm right beside him on his right, and we put our arms around each other to take the picture. My sister puts her hand on his chest, reaches over me and says, I touched
his chest.
We've lost our house to a fire. We know what you're going through, and we're sorry. He said, thank you so much. They snapped the picture.
They snapped the photo.
And they're still trying to rush us out. He said, guys, I love it. Thanks for coming so much. And he wanted to talk to us. And then my brother, they're trying to rush us out of there.
Yeah.
My brother looks at him
and
says,
we just ignore them.
Hey, by the way, we're going to Iceland because of you. Because of whatever.
Wait, I think you said
HBO.
I think you said we have a podcast. We're going to Iceland because of you.
And he immediately looked at my brother, and his eyes got real big, and he goes, "Oh, it's the best." Like he wanted to talk about it more.
You really gotta go.
Yeah, he was really, really great.
Yeah, because he has a show on HBO where he's trying to find happiness and like what part of the earth, what part of the the planet is the happiest, and so he goes
a series of episodes.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but Pursuit of Happiness or something to that effect.
Well worth your time.
Yeah,
check it
out.
out.
The very first episode, I think he goes to Iceland, and I was just drawn into it.
And then with Amanda being on
everything Amanda said.
Yeah, he's in those hot springs, like the natural hot springs, and he has like a tour guide throughout the country. It was really cool. So I told him that because of him, Iceland's like at the top of our list, to go. And he's like, oh man, you have to go do that.
He said it's the best. And so he did talk to us.
I couldn't believe how tall he really was. I mean, I knew he was tall.
He's a little over 6'2", but while they were like situating you and Mary Beth, like when they were talking to you, it was just me and him just standing there, and I looked at him, I go, man, I enjoy really listening to your stuff, your podcast, and he looked at me, he goes, oh man, I appreciate it, and he kind of smacked me on the back. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
He was so friendly.
Yeah. Very, very.
I think the facial expression, I think he was just trying to be in like Dwight character. Honestly.
Yeah, I think he was probably trying to look like a Dwight
because he does. Oh my God, he does.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, that's probably why. Because
that's exactly how Dwight would take a picture.
He would look so disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, people aren't there for his small role in 6 Feet Under. They're there for the Office and
he
Dwight.
was so pleasant.
But really was.
I liked the dad and the two little boys in front of us. They were dressed like Three Hole Punch Jim.
They were dressed like Jim and
Rain looked at him. He goes, "Oh, 3 Hole Punch Jims."
3 Hole Punch Jims. Yeah,
that was really nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But that was the whole reason we were there, and I think. I want to circle back to what I said to Joe when we were waiting in line when I was talking about the next episode. This whole time, I'd imagined that we would have something else planned to talk about. We would spend maybe the first 15 minutes talking about our Comic-Con experience, but because the day, as the day unfolded, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And at one point, I looked at Joe. I think we were in line for Rain, and I said, I kind of hit you on the shoulder. I said, this is our next episode. Yeah. This is too much.
We had enough to talk about for the whole thing.
Well, we just had to share all of it.
Yeah, we wanted to share it because I think originally, like you said, it was going to be like a drive-by mention. Yeah. And I think I even had like an idea for some dark topic, and that just made the most sense because we just had so... It was worth sharing, for sure.
Yeah.
We wanted to devote more time to it.
Well, after the photo ops, they take you around back, and there's just this series of photo printers just cranking out.
It's like an amusement park. They're just sitting there on the table waiting for
it's like a roller coaster. You get off the roller coaster and you get your picture.
So we got our Twilight picture, and they're like glossy 8x10s.
Yeah, they're nice pictures.
And then you also get a digital copy to share online. So we got our photos, and was this where we went to the Back to the Future car? because we got a picture with you in the back.
Oh, no.
That was actually early.
We
on
actually did that
we
before the photo.
realized-
Okay, I
yeah,
couldn't
we did that
remember.
Yeah,
early
there was a
on.
Back to the Future vendor, and they had a DeLorean there.
It had the DeLorean with both doors up,
Yeah.
and you could.
For $20, you could get a picture.
get a
with
picture.
your phone. I bought it for Joe because listen, I bought my ticket for the day, but he bought the photo op. She's bought the one for the trio. So I was like, let me buy the sleeves for your pictures. Let me buy your.
Oh, and I bought the parking.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, you did buy the sleeves for the photos to keep
So-
them
Yeah, you
protected.
did. Good call.
And so I said, I'll buy it for you. He goes, okay. So,
So she buys my photo
yeah,
in the DeLorean.
I pay for the fit. He gets
So
it in the
the
DeLorean.
picture is really awesome.
Yeah.
Like Joe just looks like he belongs in the
in that-
DeLorean.
yes, he does.
It was
Man.
really
He,
cool.
he looks like he's about to go back in time.
Man, so many compliments. I felt like amazing in that car, by the way.
I bet you did.
Well, and here's another thing, which is going to embarrass you, but we will talk about your strange mix of vanity and super insecurity and how they manage to coexist within you. Because Joe is super particular about pictures, and once we take it, he has to approve
Look at
it,
his face.
and then he has to say whether we can post it online or not. And I don't understand because every picture, he looks fantastic. And I'm like, what is your glitch?
I don't like getting my picture taken, believe it or not.
I don't like to either, but you always look good in your pictures, and it makes me angry. And every time I try to talk about it, you shut me down. We will discuss this at length at
It
some
needs to be
point.
studied.
It needs to be studied.
Oh, and
exactly.
by the way, I might want to add, Ashley Green looked at my brother twice.
Did we say that?
Oh, hang on for a second. I really want to be serious for a second. I gotta be serious for a second. We have to backtrack. I want to tell everybody that Ashley Green gave me double take.
So
I'm so proud of that.
you'll see those save the dates in your mailbox soon.
Yeah, for sure.
So okay.
Yeah. So and then they had on the table there. They had the replica cake that said Jailbird Joey. I took a
Yeah,
picture.
it was
yeah,
really
they
That was
did.
really cool.
They had some.
Just
And
like
so
the movie.
just for buying the photo op, Joe got his name into a
some kind of drawing for the
kind of
Marty
draw-
McFly jacket.
For the Marty McFly jacket, which
Yeah.
he did not win, but
No, I did not.
so it's time to go. I mean, we could stay and there was so much more to do and look at, but we were starving. We were exhausted. We were sore. Joe's knees were hurting.
My
Jen's
hip was hurting.
My everything was hurting.
And she was dehydrated.
I was wildly dehydrated
Yeah.
from the tears and the lack of water.
Nothing like 3 Gen Xers that
Mary
are
Beth
getting
was-
old.
Mary Beth wasn't near me at the time, but I looked at Jennifer. I go, I'm about ready to kill somebody. I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
And Mary Beth didn't hear me say that. And then I go up to Mary Beth and I go, sis, I'm about ready to kill somebody. And Mary Beth, like with not even flinching, she looked at me and she goes, okay, let's go.
Yeah, because she's
Like, she
always
knew
ready
exactly
to
what
leave.
I was talking
She's
about.
ready to leave.
Well, I guess because I'm a creature of comfort. I like creature comforts, and so I am very understanding. Like if I'm with someone and they have a stomach ache and I need to wait 20 minutes for them to go to the bathroom, I'm very understanding about it. I don't give people shit about that stuff. If you're starving and hangry, I'm gonna get you out of there.
So
like
not only
Only
that,
thing I had up to that point was coffee, Diet Coke, and
I
gum.
hadn't eaten all day
And
either.
gum.
I just had that pretzel.
I was starving.
So Jen's blood sugar's low.
Yeah.
We're aching
I'm
all
about ready to
over.
start swinging at people.
And
So-
I have to say, like Mary Beth is, like she has said, she's almost a hermit in her home. She doesn't like big crowds of people. So this is what I say to her. Because I'm like, if they've said in past podcasts, I was the oldest. I was like the mother hen. And my mom always joked
my
that
God.
I helped raise her, is what she always liked to say. So I looked at her like I'm her mommy. And I go, are you done peopling today?
Well, I think we were on the escalator going up toward the parking garage.
Yeah.
And we were on the escalator, folks, and we looked down onto the floor of this massive hallway, by the entrance of Exhibit
Oh,
Hall.
wait, before we
and
go-
there were thousands
Thousands.
of people. And we
we
looked
didn't.
at...
We forgot to mention that I got to see Sam LaRusso.
Oh, we forgot.
So before all that, they're like, we're
After the
done.
photo
We
ops.
start. We're knowingly exiting the way we came in. We're going to pass her booth. And I said,
Yeah,
listen.
and we kept saying...
I said, if you don't care, because I didn't wait in line for any of those people. I mean, we did for Tony Danza and whatever. But I said, if she's still there and not on break, do you care if I go in
We
line?
had to give you that.
We had to. You had been so awesome.
And I had $50 cash in my purse, or my little shoulder bag. I thought, that's how much it was for a selfie and for an autograph and whatever. I thought, I'm going to do that and get a selfie on my phone. My kids would absolutely love that. We loved Cobra Kai.
Yeah, because we're all fans of the show.
And I watched all the seasons. Like, I absolutely love it.
Of course, Jen as I said, being a precious little angel, a walking, breathing angel, she was like, do you care if she's still there? Do you care if I get a bit? And like, she had done so much for us throughout the day that we were
held
like,
your stuff for you and took pictures.
took illegal pictures for us. And we were like, of course. And so I kept hoping, I hope she's there. I hope
So as we get closer,
'cause we really didn't know
I
when-
look over and there's still people lined up, and she's there. And I'm like a little kid. I look back and I go, she's still there. So I get in line. They went in line with me. So there's a guy in front of us, and he's wearing the
karate gi.
a karate gi
With the headband.
And I thought, ooh, he's a big fan. And we get to talking to this guy, and he grew up in Indiana. And he starts, after we've talked to him several minutes, he finally says, I was on that show.
Yeah, he's like, I'm an actor.
I was like, wait, what? So he shows us pictures. He was in like the fight scene towards the end of the series. And he shows us that. He's got a selfie with all the people. He knows them. He's already worked with them. He's met them.
He showed pictures of him on set.
Yeah, on set and everything. So it was really nice talking to
So
that guy.
I guess he's like a martial artist who was on the show
Yeah,
kind of as a
he said
consultant.
that was the thing
And
when
they had him
wanted
come
people,
back a second time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he said that was one of the things when you had to audition for this, that you had to have some martial arts that you've done in your life. And so he had. And so we were, of course he wasn't like he didn't look like he had done it for a while, but he was super sweet.
He didn't look like.
This is going to sound super harsh.
Yeah.
Dude looked like a pedophile. He looked like the older dude with glasses that sits behind his computer with Cheetos around his mouth
in his mom's
and
basement.
has a bunch of like child
Anyway,
pornography pictures.
He was really
That's
sweet.
what he looked like. But listen, he was a nice dude.
He was very nice,
nice.
and he talked to us about a lot of that stuff and everything, and how they
I
asked him to
hope
come
he
back.
never hears
All
this.
right,
I know. I
Well,
hope
I mean,
he doesn't.
listen.
He was really great, but he gets up there and he had something to give her, which was an extra the headband thing.
Yeah,
That,
the champions. The
yeah,
black
the champions, the black one, because he said, I know she didn't get one. I'm going to give her one. So he walks up to her and she's like, oh, hey, she knew him. She was talking to him. He gave it to her. And then he said, you have some fans here, so I'm going to let you go. So then it's my turn. And I'm looking at her ring, and oh my God,
Her ring was outstanding.
So the guy that plays Robbie, named Tanner, on the show, they're engaged. And I didn't know this because I don't know all that kind of stuff. I'm too old to know what these kids are doing and who they're dating and whatever. My kids know it. They follow them on Instagram.
You don't read Teen Beat.
Yeah, I don't. No more Tiger Beat anymore or whatever.
Tiger Beat.
So I get up to her and I go, oh my God, your ring is gorgeous. And she was like, thank you. Well, let me just say, she acts like the character of Sam. Like, she's very sweet and very kind.
She's
and
beautiful, by the way. I don't think the camera does her justice.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Her eyes are like crystal clear blue.
And but she was absolutely precious.
Her skin is like porcelain.
Yes. So I complimented her ring. She was like, thank
And then you
you
complimented her hair.
I did. I said, I love your hair, because she always has really beautiful thick hair. And I said, I'm a hairstylist, so I notice these things. And she was like, oh, thank you
She goes,
so much.
thanks. And she was like, naturally curly hair. It's
Yeah.
kind of and I said, blessing and a curse. And she said, exactly.
So I mentioned to her, that I thought that finale was one of the best finales of any series.
No spoilers. I mean, it recently came out.
Yes,
and I haven't
I'm not going to
finished
give
it.
spoilers, but it is really, really good. You'll laugh, you'll cry, whatever. It's really great. And then, of course, she came over and she got a selfie with me. And so, of course, I sent it to my daughter. My daughter was like, oh my God. So it was really exciting that we got to meet her.
Very cool.
But
Yeah, I was glad
then
you
we
did that.
leave. That's when I said, are you done peopling? We leave and we're headed
so
to...
we're up the
Yes.
escalator and we look down and there are just thousands of people. But
they're
again,
everywhere.
I can't believe that the day didn't feel like we were just weaving in and out, shoulder to shoulder.
Yes.
It did not feel like that at all.
Yeah, I know.
Because
there
of
was
how
really a lot of
well
space.
they run this thing.
Yeah.
And so we are all basically limping to the parking garage, to the truck, and
Yeah, I was like, everybody get out of my way. Nobody make eye contact with me.
everybody move.
I did. I was like,
At this point, it was hard for me to hide my pain. And I was like, okay. And I think I said at one point, I was like, I was afraid if I complain about my aches and pains, you wouldn't want to travel with me.
right. We looked like we had just been walking through the desert for like a week.
Well, we finally get out of the garage. We're heading to the nearest exit because we're starving. We got to get some food. And can we just talk for a moment about Joe getting food? We went through the Wendy's drive-through.
He was like, we're just going to go through a drive-through. We're
Okay,
going to eat
time
in the
out.
truck.
Let's tell it correctly. So I said, let's get out of the city limits. So let's get farther out. So we go like a few exits up to Southport Road. And the exit sign said Wendy's to the right.
They didn't tell you
So,
how
like,
many miles.
all of the major fast food places are right there off the exit. So I turn right, and it's like we're passing McDonald's and Taco Bell, and we don't see it. And
Then
I go,
all of a
where
sudden
in the
we're
hell
by
is this thing?
subdivisions.
Yeah, they were like in neighborhoods, and I'm like, tell me it's like 2 or 3 miles away from like the only one that's like 2 miles away.
Yeah.
So, and it was like 7 minutes off the exit. So
Oh
we
my
went,
God. But we were like, well, at this point, if we turn around, we would have been the same time. So let's just keep
we just ended up
going.
going
By the
there.
way, your city was lovely, Indy. We have a ton of Indy listeners.
Yes.
Love you.
Oh, yes.
Love your convention. Loved
Yeah,
it.
we kept passing houses and going, I wonder if they listen to us.
I know we did.
Yeah, we did that.
Because we had so many. It doesn't make sense.
While we were in the convention center, I have to say real quick, I kept saying, now turn right. Now we go this way. And they're like, how do you know this? And I'm like, I'm here for volleyball all the time.
You did say that.
Right. She was our tour
I mean,
guide.
it was humongous in there.
She knew exactly where to go.
Yeah.
So we get to the Wendy's finally.
Oh, can I imitate the way?
Yes.
So my brother was so hungry, and he's been watching carbs and all that stuff, so he eats things without the bun, and it takes a lot to fill him up. So he's always been like this our whole life. Like, he's been a big eater. So let me just say that as soon as we pulled up to the thing, he rolls the window down. They said, "Thank you for choosing Wendy's. Can we take your order?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll take a." And then he stops. He goes, "Yeah, I'll take a." He stops, looks at us, and goes, "Don't make fun of my order." And he ordered all this stuff. And
Oh my God.
And I looked at him and I go, "Joey grew up with you." Nothing
Okay.
surprises
How
us.
many cheese? Like, what did he order? He ordered
ordered-
a.
Two.
Just ask me. I'm right here.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
do you remember your order?
Hey guys, over here. Okay.
Sorry.
Two junior bacon cheeseburgers with no lettuce, the grilled chicken wrap,
Yes.
and a small chili.
Can we-
Yeah, I'll have a. Oh, hang on. Please don't make fun of my order.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
I got a kid's meal.
She got a kid's meal
With
and
honey mustard
she
that I never got.
Yes, she goes, make sure you ask for honey mustard, which we did. And I just got the grilled chicken wrap
And
meal or whatever.
Mary Beth's drink cup was like a kid's
It
play
was
set.
like a sippy cup.
Yeah, a kid's play set toy drink.
She got a toy and
It was
her little
like
Happy
it was
Meal
like
too.
3 ounces.
Yeah.
It was like a shot.
So we
finally get
pull
the order.
away. We pull away, and Joe. I mean, this place looked like Shively, like,
and also keep in mind it's raining still.
Yes.
or like Dixie Highway.
it was like, yeah.
It was hard to navigate. I'm glad I wasn't driving. So Joe's got his food in his lap, no seatbelt on, and he's trying to pull out back onto the main road. But he's eating at the same time. So he has chili, no spoon.
Yeah,
No
no
spoon.
spoon.
Jen goes, "You can drink it."
Mary Beth goes, "Oh, and I didn't get my barbecue sauce or whatever you asked for.
It was honey mustard.
Honey mustard."
And so he pulls into a gas station. And
I go, "Oh, well, I had to turn left anyway
Yeah.
to where we were going. The GPS was taking me
No,
left."
it was
I go,
like I said a gas station will have a spoon.
yeah, it was like a Thornton's. I go, "Ooh, watch this." And you go, "You're going to the gas station, you get a spoon." I go, "Yes."
I go out to smoke. My sweater gets caught on the door.
Oh,
It starts to rain
well,
again.
before that, I'm like pulling into the gas station. Mary Beth goes, "Now I need something sweet."
yeah.
She goes, because of this convenience, get me something chocolate. Or I go, "Can you guys be more specific?" And you're like, "I don't know, like a Reese's or a Kit Kat
Or a
something."
Twix or something
Like,
Jennifer and I can share.
Yeah, I was being ordered to get them a treat.
So he goes in.
Oh, I
She
didn't
has
pay
her
for that, did I?
She has her smoke break. And I'm just laughing. She finally comes to the car. He comes up and he's like, they did not have spoons.
I go, all the utensils they had there, the only one they didn't have was a spoon.
No spoon, so we had to eat chili with
with
a
a
fork.
fork. And then I open the bag. He's got like a protein bar on top of it for himself. And
For later.
there are 2 chocolate things he bought, and they were a Kit Kat, and what was the other one?
Reese
Reese,
cups.
but they're
But
the big
they
size
were
ones.
the big, I mean,
King
these
size.
They didn't have the
things were
regular ones.
humongous.
They didn't have
He
the regular
said
ones.
they didn't have the. I don't think he looked, but I was a little. I was grateful yet disappointed because I was like, the peanut butter to chocolate ratio is different with the king size.
Yeah. Keep in mind, I was hangry, so I wasn't trying to hear that
Yes.
shit.
So
I was like, go to hell!
So we're bickering
Yeah.
about chocolate.
Eat your checkers.
We're on this very busy expressway. Joe is still eating and driving, and he's eating with no
And
bun.
it's raining.
We're making fun of how much he's eating. So just to be silly, he stuffs the entire wrap in his mouth as hard as he can.
So I started talking to you guys so you can see the food in my mouth.
I'm watching it like I'm watching somebody, like I'm watching a snake eat an alligator.
It's like the Twitter account, Nature is Brutal.
I couldn't believe what
I was like Joey on Friends. I was like, you're about ready to see something real special.
So we're all laughing. He's trying to chew and laugh. I said, please don't make him choke.
Okay, so we're finally on the interstate, heading home after we've eaten. It's time to call the parents on
We have to
speakerphone.
call Mom. Oh my God, Mom and her speakerphone.
Oh, I remember
She
this.
had a TV in the background.
We finally had to say, "Mom, turn off your TV. We
She
can't."
goes, okay.
Yeah,
She shuts
we
it
would like
off.
respond to her, and we would like cut our own sentences off, and then restart them, and then we cut them off and restart them. We finally stop and go, "Okay, Mom, you gotta turn off whatever the hell you got going on back here. It's loud as hell."
She was like, tell me all about it.
And Dad was in the background talking to us. We're laughing. No, but here's the best part about the phone call, and here's why I wanted to bring it up. We know who the favorite is. I mean, we've always known this.
Oh, yes.
But here's how Mom answers the phone when her baby boy calls. He calls her and
On
we
my
hear
truck, so you guys could hear it.
on the truck on
Yes.
speaker, and she answers, "Hi, baby."
Yeah. If I call, it's, hey, Jen, like we're sisters.
If I call, it's hello.
Hey, sorry.
So I just want to point out.
As soon as she said, hey, baby, Mary Beth goes, well, we know who the favorite is.
I go, that's how you answer when he calls? I go, I thought that moment was extremely telling, and we just needed to put it on public record.
By the way, you're on speaker, Mom. We can all hear your favoritism.
Hello, baby. I was like, what?
And classic Mom, she goes, well, do you call me?
Well, yeah, she gets all defensive, and it's the Terry voice almost getting to the point where we were in trouble
Well, when
like
do
we
you
were
call?
kids.
Yeah, she got sassy.
Yeah, she goes, when's the last time you called me?
I said, sorry, I call her a lot.
I guess I need to call her more so I can get the hi, baby, instead of the hello.
Hey, I feel very blessed.
Yeah, sure
Okay,
you are.
so then at this point now, the whole time I was telling Joe and Jen, please don't share anything. Please don't put any of these pictures out because I hadn't told Mallory about the experience yet. And Mallory's a big Twilight fan, and I knew she'd be very excited that I got to meet them. So I'm in the back seat, and I run our Facebook page. Now, this is a perfect opportunity for our listeners all over the world. Go to Facebook. Look up the base, the base.
The best of Gen
The
X.
Best of Gen X. That is our Facebook page. Please follow us because that's where you can see every episode that drops.
You'll get to see pictures we posted.
I wanted to plug that because if you go to our Facebook page, you can see all the pictures from this glorious, magical day. And so I'm in the back seat on the way home, and that's when I post it. And a few minutes go by, and I get a text from a lifelong dear friend, and I wanted to read it real quick.
Kara.
I got a text from Kara, who actually is an English teacher also. She is my daughter's favorite, almost her favorite
My
person.
son had her too. He loved her.
Her favorite teacher, and she was like a mom to Mallory when I couldn't be during the day at school. And my friend since 5th grade. She says, girl, are you still breathing after today? I mean, that was your Graceland, was it not? LOL. I said, yes. I said, we're on the way home, about to pass out. Feet are killing me. Knees are aching and swollen. Hips and back hurting. But I'm floating on a cloud of disbelief and awe and joy. Laugh, stupid smile, cry. I did it all. Best day ever. And she said, love that you all were able to do that. Made me smile knowing you were able to meet them. And I just thought that was so sweet because I thought it really captures, you know, the people who know me, know us, know how big of a deal that was. And I just thought that was a good way to close out. Just
Don't forget what I said.
what'd you say?
I turned around and go, hey, reply back and make sure you tell her that Ashley Green gave me a double take.
Ashley Green,
Because I just simply could not let
from
that
Twilight, gave our brother a double take.
go. And then I looked at Mary Beth and Jennifer and go, she didn't really seem happy. Meaning with her marriage to this Australian TV person. I was like, I think I have a chance.
Wait for the announcements, folks.
Guys, listen, I'm waiting for her DM or her email. It's coming.
Well, he posted on Instagram on a reel or whatever, but you tagged. You
All of
tagged
them.
all of them. And
Yeah.
so, you know, it'd be cool if they did
Let's see if they remember. Let's see if they see that.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, that was that really cool group of siblings.
And I even put like the music that was appropriate to
Yes, and
the
it
show
was-
or the
yes,
movie.
it was so
Because I did
great.
the Office one with Dwight, and I did the what was it? It was the Bella's
Oh yeah, Bellows Lullaby.
Bella's Lullaby. I did that in the background. Yeah, it's cool.
Guys, I can't believe that this day happened. I can't believe that what we thought was going to be awesome turned out to be awesomer than awesomer
It was awesomer.
than awesomest.
I can't wait to go again.
I think we should go again sometime.
It was so much fun. And now that we know what to do, and that's why we wanted to do this podcast about it too, because we want people out there that have never been.
If you've
that are
never been.
You know now. You can get in line. You can visit the people. You don't have to pay for this or pay for that. There is a celebrity row. It's usually kind of in the back against the wall, so
And
they can
the
have the privacy.
prices were ranging from like $50 to $100 for a selfie with them. And a lot of them were cash only.
Yeah.
So be prepared
Be
for that.
prepared for
I would
that.
honestly recommend that you do that instead
Because
of
you
the
spend
photo op.
time with
You get
them.
more
They
time.
Because you
spend
get more
with
time with them. And it was just, to say it was magical doesn't quite cover it. And I am forever blessed, grateful that we all did this together.
I don't know how many times that day we looked at each other and said, "It's really happening."
It's happening. Oh, and we did forget to mention, when the doors opened and we walked into exhibit hall, I kept saying, I want to see some Twilight stuff and I want some Game of Thrones shit. We didn't see Game of Thrones until we were hangry and sore and literally on our way out.
Because it was at the very end
was
by
at
like
the
the
very
celebrity
end.
row.
We
We
didn't
hadn't
see it.
gotten to that point
But
yet.
it was a huge,
huge.
Game of Thrones booth, and it had Longclaw.
And it was nice.
It
It was
had the
like-
dagger. It had the throne.
It wasn't like a shoddy looking booth either. It was like
It was legit.
Yes.
And but it was just one of the best days of my life.
We had so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I held it together. I'm very proud of I feel like I've redeemed some of my fangirl geek out moments.
Yes. You did. You actually did.
Yeah, very worth
It was
it.
a redemption moment for you.
And
Kudos to you for the idea to do it,
Yes.
because you're the one that brought it to my attention.
well,
Thank you for texting me and saying, "Come with us."
I got
thanks
you,
for
homie.
getting it done. Thanks for taking us there. What a day.
Yeah, amazing.
I
Best
think we
time.
laughed so hard our cheeks were hurting and our stomach was hurting.
Everything was hurting.
But it was worth it. It was so
Yeah.
worth it.
Well, thank you so much for listening to another piece of the Gen X experience worth saving. Comic-Con is this generation's ultimate geek fest, and our firsthand account has now been immortalized in the annals of history. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the Best of Gen X wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Jen, I'm beyond grateful for sharing this experience with you. Love you so much.
I love you. Thank you.
And Joe, always a pleasure.
Duh.